My husband's boss broke up our marriage. That sentence still feels strange to say out loud because for the longest time, I thought our biggest problems were about money, or time, or the slow erosion that happens to every long relationship. I never imagined it would be a woman named Claire with a corner office and a habit of texting my husband past midnight. My name is Rachel, and this is the story of the marriage I lost. And the one moment where I finally left him speechless. Mark and I had been together for 11 years. We met in our late 20s, moved in together within a year, married 18 months after that. He was steady back then. Not flashy, not particularly ambitious, just reliable in a way that made me feel safe. That changed when he took a new position at a logistics company and started reporting directly to Claire, the regional operations director. She was sharp, confident, the kind of boss people either feared or adored. Mark adored her almost immediately. At first, I thought it was just professional admiration. He'd come home talking about how she restructured the entire supply chain process, how she fought for the team during budget cuts, how she remembered small details about everyone's lives. I actually liked hearing it. I thought, good, that he finally has a boss who values him. I had no idea I was watching the first threads of something else entirely. The shift happened slowly, the way water erodes stone, imperceptible until the shape of everything has changed. Mark started working later, not occasionally, but consistently. 3 or 4 nights a week, always with a reasonable explanation. Quarterly reports, client emergencies, team-building dinners that somehow only ever included him and Claire. I told myself I was being insecure. I told myself 11 years of trust doesn't just evaporate because a man works hard, but then came the trip. A regional conference, 3 days. And when Mark came back, something about him felt different. Lighter, in a way that had nothing to do with me. He was humming in the shower again. Something he hadn't done in years. He started paying more attention to how he dressed for work. Small things, the kind of things you notice only because you've spent over a decade learning every version of a person. I found the messages by accident, the way these things usually happen. His laptop was open, still logged into his work email, and a notification popped up from Claire. It wasn't work-related, it was personal, warm, almost intimate. A joke about their hotel rooms being next to each other at the conference. A comment about missing their late-night talks already. I sat down at the kitchen table and read through weeks of correspondence I was never meant to see. Flirtation disguised as camaraderie. Plans disguised as scheduling. An entire relationship growing in plain sight, hidden inside a folder labeled Q3 planning. I didn't confront him right away. I needed time to think, because I already knew that the moment I said something there would be no undoing it. For 4 days, I went through the motions. Cooked dinner, asked about his day, laid beside him at night while quietly building a plan. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg him to choose me. I was going to make sure that when this ended, it ended on my terms, not his. I started by talking to a lawyer, quietly, on my lunch break. I documented everything. Screenshots, dates, patterns. Then I did something I'm still a little proud of. I reached out to Claire directly, not with anger, but with calm, direct honesty. I told her I knew what was happening, that I wasn't interested in a confrontation, but that I wanted her to understand the full picture of the man she was involved with, including the version of him that had promised me forever 11 years ago and meant it once. Then I sat Mark down. I didn't yell. I didn't cry, not yet. I simply placed a folder on the table, printed messages, dates, a timeline, and told him I knew everything, that I'd already spoken to a lawyer and that I'd already reached out to Claire. I watched something break across his face in real time, that particular kind of shock that comes from realizing you were never actually hiding anything at all. He started to explain, started to apologize, started to backpedal in that scrambling way people do when they're caught between two lives. I let him talk for exactly as long as it took me to stand up, take my folder, and tell him the papers would be delivered to his office by Friday. Not our house. His office. Where Claire would see them, too. That was the moment he went quiet. Truly quiet, in a way I'd never seen from him before. No comeback, no defense, no words at all. Because he realized, all at once, that I hadn't spent those 4 days falling apart. I'd spent them building an exit brick by brick, while he thought I was still the same woman who wouldn't notice, wouldn't question, wouldn't act. The months that followed weren't easy. There were nights I cried in the bathroom so my sister wouldn't hear me through the phone. There were mornings I woke up reaching for a side of the bed that was suddenly, permanently empty. Rebuilding a life after 11 years takes more than just paperwork and a moving truck. It takes relearning who you are outside of a partnership you thought would last forever. But I also discovered something in the wreckage of that marriage. I discovered that I was far more capable than Mark or Claire ever gave me credit for. I discovered that quiet dignity can be more powerful than rage. I discovered that the version of me who calmly delivered those divorce papers to his workplace was a version of myself I'd never fully met before. Someone steady, someone strategic, someone who refused to be blindsided twice. Today, I run my own small business, something I never would have had the courage to start while I was busy shrinking myself to fit into a marriage that had already left me behind in every way that mattered. Mark and Claire are still together, as far as I know. I don't check anymore. I don't need to. If you're watching this and you suspect something is happening right in front of you, and a boss who's become a little too familiar, a partner who's become a little too distant, and trust yourself enough to look closer. And if you find what I found, know this: you don't have to fall apart to prove you were hurt. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stay calm, gather your truth, and walk away with your head high enough that the person who betrayed you is the one left speechless. I didn't lose my marriage because I wasn't paying attention. I lost it because Mark stopped valuing what he already had. But I walked away having found something he never expected: myself, fully intact and finally free.